Hello everybody, I'm Braden and this is the Business Boot Up edition of the Dreamers and Doers podcast, and I'm joined by my awesome, hopefully familiar co-host Carolyn.
Yeah, it's so good to be here, Braden. And each week we'll come to you and live from the Norman Farmers Market, where you'll hear interviews from our youngest and older entrepreneurs who will inspire, educate, and give you an action step to help your leadership and business.
Our podcast is powered by LoveWorks Leadership, a youth organization based right out of here in Oklahoma that's helping kids start actual, real businesses. We believe you are never too young to turn your dream into reality and start your business.
Let's meet our first guest, Bryan Bakel.
Bryan Bakel started Red Dirt Roots in 2017. They are a sustainable farm that is pesticide and chemical free. They start all their produce from seed, and this year is the first year they produce their own compost and soil themselves. And they're working towards being fully self-sustaining, including Bryan's dream of not going to the grocery store. All right, how are you doing today, Bryan?
I'm doing good.
That is first off, super good to hear you're not using any pesticides. I'm a beekeeper, so hearing that, it warms my heart a lot. So we're really just excited for you to join us today and learn more about your story. And so to get started, did you always have this dream of, this business, or how did you want to do it?
I didn't always have the dream of owning a farm, but in 2013, I was doing night school for horticulture and working full-time job. And it just got really, really difficult doing both at once. And I finally just decided to quit my job and go do a farm internship. So I left for Virginia from Oklahoma to do a 6-month internship, and that's kind of what started this whole snowball of getting into farming.
Wow. So we know kind of where it started, but was kind of starting there, it's a long journey. I know farming is not easy, so kind of parking it there, what were some of the challenges you faced, getting started, going from Virginia to Oklahoma?
Well, the biggest challenge that I didn't know how I was going to start my own farm was the availability of land. That's the biggest hurdle for starting a farm for young people these days, is just having the space available to do it. I was lucky enough to inherit my great-grandparents' property here in Oklahoma. I'm from Edmond, Oklahoma, so it was kind of a way to move back here.
So Bryan, can you tell us more about what Red Dirt Roots is, what's your goal with it, and what do you hope?
Well, I want to be, of course, an organic, sustainable farm, which there is a market for. I've heard from other people that people don't really care about organic. They buy conventional all the time, but it's not about, what the customers are looking for. It's more so of what I'm going to provide for my customers.
Yeah, I think it's it's forward thinking, right? It's not kind of this one-sided thought of we're just feeding people, but it's doing it the right way.
Yeah, it's not only feeding people, but healing the earth too.
Yes. Oh, that's huge. So I'll mention this because I actually just bought beets from Red Dirt Roots this last week, and I know that you guys put a lot of literal care into the food that you produce. And so, best beets. I'm saying it on the podcast. So best beets I've ever had.
Thank you. And I did have a lady. I have a lady who buys over half my beets I grow every year. In the springtime, because she can't find them anywhere else.
They're that good?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so I know that, it takes a lot to turn this idea into an action. And so for our young viewers out there, how can they turn that idea into an actionable thing they can do? So.
Just to follow their dreams. Just be the change you want to see in the world. If you see something that can be done differently or better, and you want to make it better, then follow that dream and turn it into reality.
It's really, really good.
Bryan, there may be nothing at all if you look back on the past, starting back in 2017, you'd say, I wouldn't change a dang thing. But we know generally that's not the case with entrepreneurs. And in fact, we tend to be people who fail forward. And so I wanted to ask, what is something that you wish you knew before you had started?
To plant more shade trees.
Why is that?
Definitely, because it is hot out there.
Because it's hot.
Yeah.
Is that for you or is it for the plants?
For both.
For both.
Yeah. But mainly me.
But
yeah,
mainly you.
Plant more trees.
Okay.
Definitely.
And more trees.
That would have
Right.
been the first thing.
All right, Bryan, for our last question, we just want to kind of wrap it up with any tip you would like to give to our listeners out there who want to start a business, maybe even start a farm one day. What is that tip you want to leave to our listeners?
Just whatever product or service you're going to provide your customer, just work hard to give them the best possible experience.
I like that.
As long as you do that, then you will succeed.
All right. Bryan, thank you so much for your time. I know that those who listen will become better for your words and put all they can, be the best that they can be. So where can we find, before we wrap it all up, where can we find you?
We're in Rosedale, Oklahoma.
So-
Everyone in Rosedale has a buyer's address, funny enough. But yeah, between Stratford and Wayne is where we're at pretty much.
All right.
In South Central Oklahoma.
All right. Thank you so much again. Listeners, we'll be back very, very soon with our next guest. All right, and we are back with our next guest, a good friend of mine, H.A. Gilman. He is 14 years old and is part of wrisworld as a game developer. He does an awesome job at 3D modeling animation and is going to the 9th grade this fall. He's been doing wrisworld for 3 years now, and so he really loves talking about his 3D modeling. So we're gonna dive into that in just a little bit. So how are you doing today, H.A.?
I'm doing great. I'm having a good time at the Norman Farmers Market. Come down, come see us. It's pretty cool.
All right.
Good. HJ, we're excited to get to know you more. I know you've been around Loveworks for even longer than the 3 years part of wrisworld, but tell us a little bit more. What is wrisworld, and what has been your favorite part of being a part of the company?
So, wrisworld, it's a little weird. It's an augmented reality technology product made by kids. So you can scan the band and all these characters and stuff pop up right on your wrist. It's pretty cool. You might have to Google us to kind of see how it looks. But yeah, I love doing the game development, 3D modeling, all that stuff with the product. It's what I love in wrisworld.
So I know 3D modeling has been just a huge passion of yours. How have you really got to dive into 3D modeling over the last 3 years?
So wrisworld, we've had these this teacher Evan. He's taught me all the 3D modeling stuff. We've had these little jobs that we do to get items, put stuff in the game. We've all been 3D modeling all this stuff. So I've honed all my 3D modeling skills over the years. I've gotten a little better.
So I know our listeners out there have all these dreams going on. Maybe these dreams are to become a game developer. And so what got you interested in game development? So how did you start? Just to give a little bit of hope to our listeners out there.
To be honest, I like game development because I like playing video games. I'm sure that's everybody else. A good place to start is probably you gotta know what you want to do. Coding is always a really good base. If you want to be a coder, everybody wants you. I mean, I think the cool stuff's the graphic design, the 3D modeling. Not a lot of people do that. I mean, there's a lot, but not a lot of kids do it. So if you can get into it young, that's a good way to go.
I love watching people 3D model because I'm just kind of like, how do you guys do it all? I mean, you're creating shapes almost, it seems like, from nothing, but I mean, it's really cool.
I watch these professional 3D modelers and I'm like, I could do that. Then I go into 3D modeling and I'm like,
a little different.
I know if I got onto Blender, I could not do anything. I could make a donut, maybe.
I was going to say, I could do maybe a sphere, and that's about it.
That's
about it, yeah. HJ, this is just a fun question. What's your favorite thing that you've 3D modeled, or maybe a feature in the game? Perhaps a character.
wow.
There's a lot. He has to think about it.
Oh, there is a lot. So I like modeling mechanical stuff because I like the rigging. I've modeled a train. I think the trains are really cool. I've made a really cute banana.
Cute banana.
A cute banana. That one was
Did you
more
trademark
texture work.
that? Cute banana?
I mean it's pretty neat. It's just a really neat looking banana. It has a face on it. It's
okay,
smiling.
that's the cute part
That's
there.
the cute part.
So HJ, what would you say is one of the biggest things that you've learned from being a part of the company?
That you're probably going to fail. And you have to kind of accept that to move on. to where you don't fail. Like your first year or two is going to be a loss, but you got to stick with it and go through it.
Yeah. What would you say, helps push you through those failures? Because sometimes, like, I'll be honest, when I fail, I kind of want to give up. But what kind of helped motivate you? What helped push you?
I didn't have that much going on, so it's like, I'll just do it, and if it fails, I don't lose that much. I don't have much to lose, like money. I'm not investing actual money, but I'm investing time into it.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't have that much else to do. So I'll be honest there.
Yeah. So we're just gonna start to wind down, wrap up. So for our last question, what is that one tip that you want to share to our listeners out there? It could be anything, if it's game development or business in general. What's that tip you want to share with our listeners?
For 3D modelers, subdivide your stuff. It's great. Game developers, I love you coders. Coders are amazing. Game development's really hard. People are going to tell you it's awful, but sometimes you just have to stick with your gut and do what you feel is best.
All right, HJ, thank you so much for your time. I know that you are inspiring some young entrepreneurs out there. So before we end up and wrap up, where can we find wrisworld?
You can find it on wrist.world or Walmart.com, Amazon.com, eBay, Newegg. I think I got all.
I think you got them all.
Or On Q in Norman, if you're in Norman, On Q.
All right. So those were some awesome interviews, Carolyn. What was your favorite thing about the interviews?
I would say getting to talk about failure. I think that's a real part of entrepreneurship, and maybe one that people kind of don't necessarily realize and recognize, because you get to really see the glamour side, right? Like, you think entrepreneurship and business, you might think of like the success of Elon Musk or whichever, but I really like that our guests really got real with it.
I think both of them hit on the fact that if you're gonna do something, stick with it. Put your best effort forward with it, because that's what the people are gonna see. The customer's not gonna see all the failures; gonna see what the best effort you put into it.
That's
so I
true.
really appreciate that both our guests put a lot of effort into that. So guys, next week we will be back with 2 new business owners. So hopefully inspire you, educate you, and give you a point of action to create your business into the best it can be.
Awesome. Well,
just a reminder, y'all, to visit www.loveworksleadership.org, and so you can be part of our next Business Boot Up cohorts. And remember, real leaders, they don't blend in, they stand out.
Dream big.
And do your dream. Bye, y'all.